Hi, everybody.
Hello there,
I'm Jerry.
and I'm Linda, and we're the village newcomers.
We moved here about 14 months ago, and since then, we've tried to document our experiences as new residents here.
We're not experts, and everything we share is just our opinion, and we hope that things that we share help somebody or everybody that's thinking about coming here.
That's right. And folks write us every day, and we appreciate it with comments and suggestions for future blogs. And we get more letters on today's topic than just about anything else. And that is, will single folks find happiness here in the villages? And we're so blessed to have three wonderful people with us today to discuss that very topic.
We appreciate you being here so much.
We'll start with introductions, if you don't mind.
I'm Jim, and I moved here from Mississippi.
Hi, I'm Mary Carroll. I moved here actually from another city in Florida, the Sanford Lake Mary area.
Hi, my name's David Jewell. I moved here from Nashville, Tennessee.
If you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about the history that led you here, Jim?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I was working at the time, and a coworker lives here, and we had a get-together in January. And she said, Jim, you ought to check out the villages, you know? And so she gave me the website. I went there and checked it out. Then I being a retired Navy, I did my due diligence. Got the DVD, which was outstanding, and then decided, yes, I wanted to come here. It's something I wanted to do because where I was living in Mississippi, there was nothing to do if I retired.
Okay.
And I was worried about that. So that's what I did. Yeah, I am single, and I lost my wife about 5 years ago. Her home was in Mississippi, and we had moved there for retirement. But after she passed, there was nothing for me to do. I had to drive 40 miles to get to a bowling alley or to a movie theater one way. And that wasn't me. And I was scared to retire in Mississippi. So when I heard about the villages, checked it out and said, this place is for me.
I've been coming to the villages probably for 20 years. My oldest brother and sister-in-law have spent their winters down here for at least that long, maybe longer. I would come down during usually Christmas or when I wasn't living overseas, just about any time I could, and enjoy spending time with them. Now, they never lived in the villages, but they played here all the time. So I was always coming to the squares. I remember when it was just Spanish Springs, and then when Sumter Landing came and Brownwood. And I always thought that it would be a fun place to come to. Now, I am single. I have never been married. The thing I discovered as a single person, I had been living for work. I was an international tax attorney. I had, my last job was in Geneva, Switzerland. When I came home, I decided to come to Florida so I'd be close to family, also close to the activities here. But I discovered in 10 years living in a gated community over in the Sanford area, it was really hard to find activities for singles. Mm-hmm. I had to drive 30 miles to downtown Orlando for many of the arts things that I enjoyed, to take tap dancing classes. I had to really work to find things for single people. Mm-hmm. Now, I knew from all the time I had spent visiting the villages and looking through their catalogs and seeing all the activities that were on offer here, that if I came here, it wouldn't be that hard. I could simply go through the catalog, look at the different activities I was interested in, see what days and where they were, and show up. My thought has always been, if you're bored here, it's your fault.
My story's a little longer. So I after 40 years of working in horticulture,
Oh, fabulous.
I was in California, decided it was time to retire when an announcement came that yet another acquisition was to be made. And if anyone's ever gone through that in their professional life, it's an undertaking and I just didn't have the patience for it anymore. So I retired from that job. My wife and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and that's where I lost my wife. That was about 3-4 years ago. Kind of lost, and I spent a year in self-pity, I suppose, in Nashville. And a friend called from Miami and said, "Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. Are you retired?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, I have a proposition. Why don't you come down here and interview with my company? And I think we have a job you might be interested in." So I did. It did turn into an opportunity for me. They were opening a new office in Winter Garden. And so I was to come to the Orlando area to be in that office. The main office in Miami, the HR director said to me something, "Well, you're moving up to Central Florida. Be sure to stay away from that place, the Villages." I had never heard anything about the Villages, and of course he was making a joke. It was a little bit of an off-color joke, which I won't go into, but that's the first time I've ever heard of the Villages. So after 8 months of working with the company in Winter Garden, I lived in Claremont, just south of here on 27. I decided, why am I working? Travel is not the fun thing it used to be, on and on, why? And so I left that job, sold my home in Claremont, and my sister happened to be living in the Leesburg area on a lake there. Beautiful home and lots to do, and so they were in Chicago for the summer. So I ended up living in her home, taking care of her sweet dog, and kind of doing a few repairs. And in the meantime, I love to golf. So of course I ended up playing golf here in the Villages. And I started to meet people and talk to people. And it became abundantly clear to me this was going to be my retirement plan, which I had none. So that's how I ended up here in the Villages. It's a wonderful place, and I'm enjoying my life.
David, I'll start with you. As to clubs or organizations, have you found any here yet?
Interestingly, I have. I've just moved in around the first of the year, so January, and only had a month so far here. Wow. And 2 of those weeks were, to be honest, I didn't leave the house. I was unpacking and getting furniture and things set up, which is a totally different story. Anyway, one day I decided I'd had enough of unpacking and working in the house, and I had just received my golf cart. And so I'd come across a couple of kites that I had drug around with me for the last 3 or 4 moves in my career, which I always fantasized about being a kite flyer and how relaxing that is. So I grabbed these kites. I went up to the Everglades, our big rec center, because it had some open space, fields, baseball, softball fields. And it was quite a windy day, and I failed in my kite efforts because of the high winds, and I was frustrated, and I wadded up my kites, and I was ready to come back home. And I looked in the sky, and lo and behold, there's like a dozen beautiful, huge kites in a field not far from where I was. So I went over, I investigated, and sure enough, there's a group in the Villages. I think it's called Gone with the Wind or something like that, or In the Wind. But anyway, I'm sorry I couldn't call the name of the group, but they were out flying kites, and it turns out they fly 3 times a week in our Everglades Rec Center area. And I've since joined the club and bought better kites. The other thing that I'll mention, and it's a great way to meet people too, by the way, a lot of singles are already there. So our area is brand new, and on Facebook I saw that they had a gentleman that was forming a group called the Monarch Grove Social Club. And so I got involved in that, and sure enough, our first meeting, we had 283 people to come to our just a little meeting. Everybody brought a dish. It was fabulous. Mm-hmm. Those are the 2 groups that I've associated with. There's plenty of others.
When I first moved to the Villages, I was so excited because every week on Thursday we have this program that's so thick. I remember I went through it. I picked out all the different groups and organizations that looked interesting. I wrote them all down, what days they met, what times they met. And probably for the first month that I was here, I took time to go to each of these organizations. Now, over time, what I discovered is you sort of relax into some of the ones that are most important to you or that somehow trip your triggers. And what I am mostly involved with today are, number one, probably Toastmasters. I helped start a Toastmasters club here in the Villages. I've been associated with Toastmasters in some form or another since, I think, 2007. And it's, to me, because we as seniors are now at a stage in our life where we can do not the thing that we've had to do to earn money, to keep ourselves going, we can do the thing that we care about. And in order to do that, in order to promote our ideas, Toastmasters is a fabulous place to gain your voice. So Toastmasters to me is a very important piece of what I do here in the Villages, but I also got to return to something I loved to do years ago. When I got busy with my career, I no longer had the time to devote to acting, to theater in any form. Now I can. And so I am a member of the Lake Meona Theater Group. I've done several shows over the last 3 years here in the Villages. I also work with old time radio players, and they do every month a live radio show, although it's not truly on the air, but we do a script from, it might be Fibber McGee and Molly, or one of the old radio programs, and I'm one of the radio players. So I'm not in it every month, but I'm in it frequently, and I really enjoy that. I also love our neighborhood here in Dunedin. We have a monthly social club. I host a monthly Samba, which is a card game group at my house. We have anywhere from, once in a while it's only 12, but it can be up to 24 women who play once a month there. I am involved in the League of Women Voters. That to me is a very important organization because as a woman and as an American, I think that it's highly important that we recognize all the history of women gaining the right to vote and that we encourage every woman to exercise her rights. Other than that, I golf, I play pickleball. I used to do tap. I haven't been going to my tap classes recently. Other things have taken priority. But I'm philosophy. I love the philosophy club. Unfortunately, my Toastmasters now interferes with my philosophy club time. But there are just so many activities for the mind, for the body, that it's hard to choose.
As far as clubs go, I got here last January, and I did the same thing. I looked in the weekly paper and saw all the things to do. However, I was still working. So that didn't leave me a lot of time to do anything because most of the clubs meet at like 11 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and I was still working. So 2 weeks ago, I was able to retire, and I was immediately knew what I wanted to do. Couple of things. Number one, I wanted to take line dance classes, so I joined a line dance class. And I also wanted to do Tai Chi, which I've only been to one, but I really enjoy it. I'm going to keep doing that. The club so far that I've joined is the Singles Baby Boomers Club. It is for baby boomers, the age group of us who are baby boomers, and they have amazing activities every single day. They play cards. They play bocce ball together. They have bowling 2 times a month. They go to lunches together. They go to dinners together. They go to the movies together. I mean, they have something for singles every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 activities. You just have to decide which one you're going to go to because there's so many. I went to the Super Bowl party that they had, and we did that all together, and there was probably 60 of us in there that night. And you meet, it's a social club, you meet all kinds of people. You start talking to folks, and getting to them. The other thing that I'm getting involved with is I'm a veteran, I served 24 years in the military, so I'm really interested in veterans programs. So I have got involved now with the honors flight. Okay, and it takes older veterans, and we take them up to Washington D.C. Because I'm a retired veteran, they said that I could possibly be an escort. And the escort is responsible for one of the members. You go with them, you help them upstairs, you push the wheelchair if they need it, whatever it is. And you do that, and you fly up to DC with them, you're with them all day, and you fly home that night with them, and you're there until they come back to the American Legion where they left from. So I'm really looking forward to getting involved with that. I've got a couple emails. I'm going to the next meeting that they're having with that. So that's the other thing. A couple other clubs that I'm looking at that I haven't joined yet. One of them is the Jimmy Buffett Club. They do a lot of charity work in the Jimmy Buffett Club, besides have a lot of good times. They're a big party group too. But they do a lot of charity work. And so I'm going to the next, what they call the flocking, which is their meeting, okay, because they're parrot heads, okay, and their meetings are called the flocking. And you just go, and you just go to the meeting, and you just sign up at the meeting. You know, there's no dues or anything like that until you join in. It's very minimum, you know, for any of them. There's just so many things now that I'm retired that I can do. So many clubs you have to, like she said, you have to be very kind of picky what you do, or you'll wear yourself out. You know, you will absolutely wear yourself out. But I've met so many great people in all these clubs that I've gone to. I mean, you just talk to people, you're going to make friends. It's obvious.
Do you consider yourself here for the long haul?
Oh, most definitely. I knew when I moved here, I already heard the term frog. Okay? And I knew I was going to be a frog. A frog is a villager who is here till they croak.
I didn't know
I
you were
am
going with
going to
that.
be a frog. I'm not planning on going anywhere. This is it. Okay? This is it.
Absolutely. I can't imagine a retirement community anywhere else in the country, or any community anywhere else in the country, that offers me as a single person, or anybody else for that matter, the range of activities, the social possibilities, the living environment. I tell people who ask about this community, it's like living in Disney in terms of the manicured trees and public places, all the buildings, the country clubs. Where are you going to find this anyplace else? When I describe it to other people, it's just impossible for them to understand until they come and experience it themselves. In fact, one time, one person says, "Well, do they feed you?" It's like, this isn't any kind of retirement community like that. This is actually, to me, like a park for adults. It's Disneyland for adults all the time, 24/7. Well, maybe not 24/7. We do go to bed early.
But we get up really early. So, yes, I envision myself being here till the end. In fact, the little placard that we have out in front of my place, I decided to go with a theme on the top. It says Spirit in the Sky, which I don't know if you know that song, but that's become my theme song for my home. Then it has butterflies to signify Monarch Grove, and of course my name and address. But yeah, I think I'm here for a long haul. I can't imagine where I would go and have such a diverse opportunity to enjoy my life as I am today.
Such great answers. Do you have any advice for single people that are thinking about making the move?
Yes, I do, for sure. One thing I would highly recommend is take a lifestyle visit. Come down for at least a week, okay, and visit. I brought my two grown daughters with me to make sure that they knew what I was getting into. the first night we were sitting on the lanai, and my oldest daughter, who had really kind of been against me moving from Mississippi because my whole family's there, she said, "Dad, I'm going to sell my 50 acres and move right next door to you." So that was good. And that was on the lifestyle. They got to experience what I was going to do. The next thing I did was I rented, okay, for 3 months. And I got that, during that 3 months, I got to experience everything. They gave me a golf cart with the rental property. I could go out and experience, go to the pools. That's another place that you can meet people. Just start talking to people when you go to the pools. And the pools are all heated during the wintertime, so a lot of times you can go, like today, you could probably go out there. It'd be kind of chilly when you get out of the pool, but you can talk to folks. So I would recommend a renting, possibly, and during the summertime when it's so hot. If you're coming from up north or where it's cold, you want to experience the heat. So you make sure that's the right way to go.
My advice would be simply, when you come, be open to possibilities. And I say that because when I came, I assumed that the connections I would make, the friendships I would make, would mostly come from the activities that I engaged in. What I found, to my great surprise, was that many of my closest friendships are actually my neighbors. This has become a Mayberry of sorts. I feel like the people in my own neighborhood are people that if anything is wrong, if there's anything going on, if I want to share something exciting, those are the people that I reach out to first. So be open to the possibility that your friendships will come from so many different quarters. Enjoy.
So my advice to anyone considering coming here that's a single person, or anyone else for that matter, is to come investigate it, look it over, see what you think of it. Talk to people here. And maybe that was my biggest challenge, Jerry, was to decide for myself, by myself, after 35 years, having a partner to make a decision. It was really difficult for me to step out and say, this is what I'm doing. And I think the lifestyle stay, of course the summer spent here golfing and meeting people, gave me the confidence to say, okay, this is what I'm doing. And from that point forward, it's been go, go, go.
So much wonderful advice for all the single people that are out there and wondering about the villages. Guys, I was wondering, is there anything else you'd like to mention before we leave?
We'll see
you when you get here.